Heart drops into. Okay. So this should record my screen and my mic.
Awesome.
Thank you. All right. So, welcome to Mortuary Anatomy. Our first lesson is the human organism. We're going to talk about terminology and just an introduction to all of the scientific terms that to familiarize ourselves with. So our student learning objective for this lesson is to define anatomical terminology and body organization sufficient to communicate effectively with the public officials, and health professionals. So we have our allied health people that we communicate with, like hospice nurses, hospital staff. Yes,
You have a copy of the book. Like listening.
not up here,
I got my.
not up here. There is a copy on your canvas. So anatomy is one of the major areas of scientific study required of mortuary science students. It's basically your foundation for restorative art, micropath, embalming, and chemistry. Yes, that's the textbook for this class. This one's just chapter 1. There's a lot of information.
Oh, okay, I just.
All right, so anatomy is your foundation for your other science classes. So the material that we learn here is important for understanding all of your other coursework. As funeral service professionals, there's going to be times we have to deal directly with the public, with families, with hospital staff, other allied health professions like doctors, nursing personnel, and medical technicians. So we need to understand basic anatomical terminology and basic human anatomy so we can communicate effectively. By the time we finish this course, you'll be familiar with various body systems. You'll better understand the relationship between structure and function, because as we come to see, all of our internal structures are designed for their respective functions. And this helps us foster a development of healthy living habits as a result of being more aware of the inside nature of our bodies. So today we're going to talk about the human organism, and in human anatomy, we're talking about living organisms, but as we all know, we will be working with the dead. So we're going to discuss various functions that occur in the living body and learn terminology, familiarize ourselves with general body considerations, general body cavities, and our body plans. So remind everybody, if you did not know what you signed up for, in funeral service, you will be in contact with the dead human body. And I want to talk about a concept known as reverence for the dead. As funeral professionals, we need to maintain a sense of decorum, which is reverence or respect for the dead. That is someone's loved one that has come into your care. So it's easy to get jaded in a profession like this, where if you're at a high call volume funeral, you're getting cases in and out. So it is important that you take a step back before you begin embalming and realize that each individual case that you have is someone's loved one. Yes.
You said about high call. Is it always high call or it's always high call?
No, so in smaller communities, when I say call volume, I mean how many death calls is your funeral home getting? And so like the one that I worked at, where I was the only director and embalmer, we had about 300 cases a year. So they didn't need, I was enough for that. Me and the owner would he would relieve me sometimes. But you go down to the coast, they may have like several hundred, close to 1,000 cases per year. So a high volume means that like pretty much almost every week you have several cases to do. Whereas low volume, you'll have some slow weeks.
Oh. Because I've been, that because I recently know there are some like low days I get.
In small towns, yeah. Yeah, there'll be, that's why, as a student, you wanna work, you wanna try to get in with a funeral home that gets enough cases so that you can do your 10 before you graduate. I mean, any funeral home's gotta have more than 10 cases a year, but. Yeah.
West Point there.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we're talking in reference to reverence the dead, can anyone tell me the difference between a corpse and a cadaver?
Or is the person is, I don't know, yes, as I don't, I know what. I don't know what that is. Basically like, obviously a human being.
What's a cadaver?
Is the thing, medicine, it's a practice, I look for
The body.
Yes.
The thing. So a cadaver is a human body that somebody donated their body to science. It's used for medical purposes in med schools, for educational and medical knowledge. It's not the word I'm looking for. I'm still waking up. So a cadaver is dissecting a body, but that body was donated to science. So that's going to be in a gross anatomy lab for med school. We do not treat the dead bodies that come into our care as cadavers. We don't do that. We make minimal cuts into that body. Our prime objective is to, if they've, if the family's consent for embalming, to temporarily preserve that body. If not, we're still disinfecting and doing minimal care. So a corpse is just a dead body in general. But you wouldn't want to call someone's loved one a corpse when they come to your funeral home. I just want you to denote the difference. You still like, you know, you don't say, Mr. Jimmy came into our care last night or something, you know, just kind of like it a little bit.
His dad's name.
All right, so the origin of anatomical study in medicine. So funeral service, somebody say, okay. Funeral service is not all science and terminology. It's also more than that. So we also have embalming, which is an art as well as a science. And funeral service involves emotion, and there's a lot of emotion surrounding death itself. So two of the most well-known fictional features of Halloween season would be Dr. Frankenstein and his monster from Mary Shelley's 1818 novels. So the mad scientist and his reanimated corpse have been the stuff of collective nightmares for centuries now. And you have to think about why that is. Why do those kinds of stories both frighten and fascinate audiences for centuries? Everybody knows Frankenstein's monster.
Is that the hand?
But that is
The
the
monster.
thing from Adam's Family.
Okay, I get him.
Poor kid.
Isn't it based on the book?
As a monster.
Yeah.
The doctor.
It's on the-
And then the monster.
Says that, like.
But Frankenstein was actually the
With the
doctor.
doctor. Okay, I thought it was the monster.
Hotel Transylvania line.
If not, you don't.
Yeah. We have a name for the monster.
Everybody calls it the monster now. Dracula's the monster name. Adam.
Right. Yes. Good job, proud. Proud. His name was Adam. but-
Adam's family. Yes.
No. All right, let's come back. Let's come back. So part of why things like this interest us so much is what makes us human. So along walking upright, using our opposable thumbs and our awareness of death, everybody dies, right? A lot of people have, fear of that. It's taboo in many cultures to talk about death. And that's kind of what makes us human, right? Animals don't, they have like instinctual fears, but they have to like come into contact with danger where they're in imminent danger to realize, oh, let me get away from that. And then they'll avoid it. So, but they don't understand that they're going to die. We do. So we know we're going to die.
Nerd.
So, since the beginning of time, we've placed importance on the way we treat each other after death. It goes back to the Neanderthals. They found them buried with elk antlers and flowers, and goes back to biblical times where they wrote about wrapping bodies with resins and oils. In any society that has disrespected the dead, think Nazi Germany, for example, that's the sign of a falling society, empire, that, something's deeply wrong because we've internally, since the beginning of time, have placed importance on caring for the dead. So anatomy is an ancient science. A lot of the words used in describing the body are derived from Old Latin and Greek languages. If you're trying to follow along in your book, I'm not talking to you right now. So don't be confused. This is not in your book. Okay, I have to fill 3 hours.
Is it because we're like, I actually, it's only like. Hey.
Yeah, your reading is extremely short, but there's so many terms in there that you need to know. So don't underestimate it.
Okay. I thought you say don't be discouraged.
Oh, no. Also, don't be discouraged. All right. So coming back, anatomy as an ancient science. What we knew about medicine was based largely on superstition, observation, and study of animals. Not that long ago, I think the first, it wasn't until the 1900s, 1900s or the 19th century, it's a 19 something, that they didn't even acknowledge germs existed, right? Like they thought, and talk.
I remember they thought that like when people got sick, it like felt like, oh God, this and
Absolutely. Yeah, and also even in the 17th century, and this is what I'll talk about in my micro class for my sophomores this week. They believed in what was called spontaneous generation. They think that things just appeared out of nowhere. There was a recipe for how to get mice, and it was like put some sweaty socks in a jar and leave it for a couple of weeks, and mice would appear. And
I mean,
Dude, Adam's a spontaneous generation right there. People also think that you can conjure maggots just by setting out meat.
meat, yes, they didn't believe in the fly laying the egg. Yeah. That's in my PowerPoint for Thursday. Yeah. So a lot of superstitions, a lot of religious beliefs. They thought that if you were ill, someone in your family had sinned or you had sinned. And so modern medicine is really not that old, right? But it does have, once you start diving into the terms, it has Latin and Greek origin. So let me think. Like We got the anatomical drawings with Leonardo da Vinci. In Victorian England was when they started doing live surgery. You could like buy tickets to go in an amphitheater and watch live surgery. There was once a 300% mortality rate. Okay, not a lot of people lived through. So do you know about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if I get it right. So they were doing surgery. The doctor was working so fast, he did something, slit the throat of somebody beside him. So that person died. Somebody died of fright, and then the person having the surgery. Yeah. Not a lot of people lived through this surgery. It's because they also didn't have phenol, because that was Joseph Lister and Victorian England.
All right. Quick question, didn't doctors even have to work insanely fast with surgeries because there's no way to clot blood?
That is also,
Yes.
very, there's a book called The Butchering Art or something. It's really good. I have it at home. I'll take a picture of it. Anyways, just some fun times. Also, if you didn't know, grave robbing is how we got a lot of our anatomical knowledge, right? Yeah, it was very lucrative, if not, immoral and legal way of procuring cadavers. And that's why now the cadavers in med schools are people that agreed, they donated beforehand, before they died, they were like, can use my body for knowledge. Right, the Anatomical Donation Act. Anyways, all right. So this is just kind of this fun information
Yeah.
to just kind of, it's all woke up. Right?
notes.
No, no.
Okay.
Yeah, record with everything.
I am recording. You can go back and fast forward. Okay. So, the word anatomy means throughout and to cut. In other words, the body has been scientifically studied over hundreds of years through dissection in order to understand structure and function. All right. Until the 1300s, we didn't know much about the human body or how to cure injury or disease. And so the rise of universities in medieval Europe reintroduced the study of cadavers. Because also, when certain like religions, I don't know if it was Catholicism, when certain powers come in and they say you cannot do this, then we kind of lost it for a while. And then they were like, you can study, right? Because it's it's a lot to do with, anyway. So requirements were laid down that anyone studying to become a doctor had to attend at least one dissection before they could operate on people. Right, so fun information. Now we're in our textbook and now you can take
Yay.
it.
Can I use my?
So, what?
I feel able to use my computer.
Good for you. It's good for you to write.
They don't teach you that before school.
It's the English.
Yeah.
Alabama, so I know it's better for you to write.
Did you know that children learning to read, if they learn off of a tablet, they can't differentiate between a lowercase d as in dog and a lowercase b as in boy, but if they're writing, that's how they can learn.
Wow.
Pray for the kid.
Yes.
So, anatomy from the Greek origin to cut. Anatomy means, or we're looking at the structure of something, how it is formed, the shape of it, the internal structures. Physiology is the function. What does it do? So, anatomy and physiology are intertwined because the structure is generally designed for its particular function. Each organ of the body is built to perform its function. So they can't be studied separately. We have to look at anatomy and physiology together. All of this is word for word in highlight. I was right. Here's your subdivisions of anatomy. So anatomy is a very broad science. It's beneficial to break it down into subdivisions. You need to know these. Notice I highlighted. It's important, right? So gross anatomy, so known as macroscopic anatomy. What does anybody know what macro mean? Big. Somebody say big. Yes, large. Whereas micro would be right. So microbiology is studying like bacteria and protozoa and down at the cellular level because you have a microscope to see it. Macro means you can see it with the unaided eye. That's like a gross anatomy lab. So the cadaver is present. Microscopic anatomy is where we use microscopes. And there's subdivisions here. Cytology for cell. Cytology would be the study of the individual cell. Histology, histo,
Yeah.
yeah, tissues
bad.
specifically, not just because, muscle tissue, nervous tissue. There's epithelial tissue, which is skin, which is what we think of when we think of tissue. But histology just is the study of the different body tissues. There's 4 different types of body tissues that we'll talk about. Epithelial, which covers or lines. Muscular, provides movement. Nervous, nerve stimuli. And connective, which is like, there's a lot of it. There's blood, there's lymph, things like that. So then we have systemic anatomy, which is where we're going to look at a specific body system. So if you were just going to look at the cardiovascular system, surgeons have, if they're not a general surgeon, they'll declare a specialty, right? Cardiologist, dermatologist, if you will. Then we have regional anatomy, which is when you're just going to study a body region, which is going to be the head, the torso, the thorax, the foot. That's not a body region, the extremities. So then we have pathological anatomy, also known as abnormal anatomy, also known as human pathology, which is the study of how structures in the body change from disease. Pathos, the study of suffering. So structural changes from a disease. And then we have topographical anatomy, which is surface anatomy, the study of surface shape and form in order to locate and understand underlying structure. So because we're studying the embalmers, we're going to do topographical anatomy, where you're going to learn linear guides, anatomical limits for specific regions of the body so that you know where to find the common carotid artery or the femoral artery or the axillary space. So we're going to look at the sternoclavicular articulation, which is where your sternum or your breastbone connects to your clavicle. And there's a notch there. And if you pull the skin down and make an incision and dissect through the sternocleidomastoid muscle, which is the muscle that connects the sternum and clavicle and the mastoid process, and you'll know that the common carotid is beneath that. All right?
Yeah.
It's okay. You're going to learn it. And then we have physiological anatomy or human physiology, which is the study of the functions of the body parts and how they work. There's developmental anatomy. It's not here because I don't know what's going on here. But developmental anatomy would be if you're studying embryology or anything before death. Not death.
Birth.
Birth. Birth comes first. Okay.
Usually.
Yes. All right. And then we're going to divide and organize the body into structural levels. This will begin at the chemical level. I lost my words. Which will include all of the atoms and molecules that come together to form the various chemical substances necessary to maintain life as we know it. And we'll talk about that when we talk about the, I guess your third week. We'll talk about a brief intro to chemistry and the eukaryotic cell. Then we have the cellular level. So the cell is the smallest functional unit of the body. It's said to possess the magical qualities of life, like the ability to respond to a stimulus. Somebody pats me on the back. You know, I don't have eyes in the back of my head, but I have a nervous system that's going to pick that up. I can turn around. Right? The ability to take in food and water at the cellular level, that's just, you know, general idea. Right? So the ability to respond to a stimulus, the cellular level. Okay. The ability to take in food and water, the ability to give off waste products, using energy, right? The ability to grow and mature, and the ability to reproduce. So cells are complex organisms, like in the human organism. So when we're talking about eukaryotic cells, complex cells of humans and animals, you know, we don't talk about prokaryotic cells until micro, and those are much more simple. But our cells in the human body have little structures called organelles that are going to carry on specific activities. Organelles are composed of large molecules, including proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, nucleic acids. So we'll talk about that later in 2 weeks. Specialized cells. So we're coming up to the tissues. So levels of structural organization, chemical, atoms and molecules. Helping us at very, very basic cellular level, cells together form tissue. So specialized cells assemble into layers or masses that have specific functions. And as similar cells are arranged for the performance of that function, tissues are formed. There's 4 basic tissues: the body, epithelial, muscle, connective, and nervous. And groups of different tissues combine to form organs. Tissues, the 4 tissues: epithelial tissue, which covers or lines, so it's going to be membranes, skin, muscular tissue, nervous tissue, connective tissue, thank you, and connective tissue.
Anybody know what a structural organization is?
Page. Page 3.
Yeah, we haven't moved very far in the chapter.
The structural level, like, first thing over you can set top of body where it says the
Cellular level. Soil structure.
Got it?
So,
Which I can read it.
That's what it.
You're right there. First level of organization occurs at the chemical level. Yeah,
That's on page 2.
Yeah. A lot of information in it'll be chapter. Thank you. All right, coming back. So groups of tissue come together to form organs. Organs are complex, they have specialized functions, and groups of organs combine to form systems. And the interacting organ systems combine to form the whole organism. So we're going to cover 11 body systems. Tegumentary. Say, I'm just going to go through this because I'm just going to. Integumentary, skeletal, muscular, nervous, endocrine, cardiovascular, lymphatic, respiratory, digestive, urinary, and reproductive. But let's break them down. All right. So the integumentary system is the skin and its components that are involved in covering and protecting the body as a whole. It also functions in temperature regulation. It acts as a sensory organ. It helps prevent water loss. It helps prevent vitamin D. And the organs of the integumentary system include the skin, and the accessory organs like hair, nails, sweat glands, and sebaceous glands or pineal glands. The skeletal system. This is our bones, cartilage, ligaments that provide support and protection to the body. The components of the skeletal system allow movement. This is where blood cells are produced, stores minerals, and provides additional energy storage, like in adipose tissue, which is fat tissue. And we have the muscular system. All of the body's muscles are concerned primarily with movement. And the muscular system allows us to maintain posture and produce body heat. But it even goes down to the smallest thing like peristalsis in the digestive tract, which is movement of food from your mouth to your anus. So muscles that you can go down to that smallest thing. Then we have and then it helps produce body heat. Like, when you go outside, your nervous system's like, hey, cold, and you start shaking. That's movement. It's going to produce body heat to warm you up. Does that make sense? Then we have the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is your immune system. So the lymph nodes and lymphatic organs that comprise our immune system. It's technically part of the circulatory system, so it works with the cardiovascular system. And the lymphatic system removes foreign substances from the blood and lymph and helps combat disease. We have the respiratory system. The respiratory system are your lungs and other organs concerned with taking in oxygen and eliminating waste and other respiratory gases. The respiratory system exchanges oxygen and carbon dioxide between the blood and the air, regulating our blood pH levels. The digestive system is concerned with taking in food products and breaking them down so nutrients can be absorbed, and the elimination of solid waste products.
You posted on campus after, is correct?
I do not.
Can you?
It is exactly from the book.
It is exactly from the.
It's exactly from the book. This is
But I like the
this
color.
guide, and
Oh.
it helps me lecture.
Makes sense.
I did record this. Watch
I
this.
didn't know.
You can mute it and then just. All right. I used to, but then students just rely on it too much, and then you're still responsible for your reading. So if I get a test and you're like, PowerPoint, it's still in your book.
And then
I don't want people to rely on them too much.
This stuff isn't highlighted, you wouldn't worry about it as
And
much.
that's not correct.
Okay.
Just because it's not highlighted doesn't mean it's not important. But if it's highlighted,
It's really
it's
important.
real important. It's probably a test question. Yes. All right, then we come to the nervous system, the brain, spinal cord, cranial and spinal nerves that have overall control over our body functions, coordinating performance of tasks by various cells, tissues, and organs of the body. So this is going to control our physiological processes as well as intellectual function. The endocrine system is the group of glands that give off secretion, serve as chemical regulators of various bodily functions involving the release and regulation of hormones into the bloodstream. Where the nervous system differs is nervous impulses act a lot faster, more rapid, like sending a text message, whereas hormones, they have to go around the body to find their target, so it's more like sending an email, right? And then we have, and the endocrine system is going to influence metabolism, which is the rate at which work is done. It's not the right growth and reproduction. We have the cardiovascular system, the heart, blood, and blood vessels serving to transport gases, nutrients, and waste products throughout the body. taking very connected to the respiratory system, taking fresh oxygen, nutrients, various nutrients from the heart around the body, exchanging oxygen for carbon dioxide and other waste products, bringing it back to the right side of the heart.
What is on the book? So that's the circulatory. Like.
In the book, the cardiovascular,
Yeah, it's not in there.
and with the circulatory.
I'm asking.
That
what
would
they would be.
Yes, the circulatory.
Part of the
Circulatory is lymphatic and cardiovascular.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I was saying.
More.
And, okay, yeah, so in some textbooks, it's 11 body systems and some it's 10. Because
Yeah, mine says 10.
so that means
Not a test question.
vascular differentiation. All right. So in the circulatory system, specifically the cardiovascular part of it, this is your heart, blood vessels, and blood.
So just to be sure, the lymphatic system helps with preventing disease.
So circulatory system, basically the lymphatic system is going to bathe the tissue cells, lymphatic fluid. It's very connected to the cardiovascular system. The vessels run around the body in the same way. I need to update my slides, make it 10 or 11.
Okay. Why, tell me, it's a quick question. Why just separate the circulatory and cardiovascular from sometimes?
Probably just for like medical purposes, because, when you're like medical, like study of anatomy and physiology, you could specialize in the heart and the vessels versus still kind of have choice. Some studies, some textbooks separate them, some don't.
Yeah, I don't know why they separate them. It kind of sounds same thing. Because both they like blood.
Yeah, it's just the publisher, whoever's writing it. Yeah. It's personal preference. Right, and then the urinary system. The urinary system involves your kidneys, your urinary bladder, and duct that carry urine. So this is going to serve to clean waste products from the blood and maintain proper fluid chemical balance in the body. Then we have the reproductive system. I think we all know what this one does. So you have a biological female. Yes. Yeah. Back to the urinary system. Are you laughing at the way I said yeah?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I mean,
I know you.
Me and Ian both staring at each other with. Just.
We understand one another. We have the same cardiovascular.
Right.
This, right here.
Right, we good on the urinary slide?
Say.
And then we have the reproductive system. So we will separate it and look at the biological female reproductive system, which will produce oocytes, and it's the site of fertilization and fetal development. It's much more complex than the male counterpart, which basically is just contributing the sperm, right?
Yeah.
In the female reproductive system, we're going to have ovaries, uterine tubes, uterus, vagina, which is internal. It's not external, guys. Mammary glands and associated structures. The biological male reproductive system produces and transfers sperm cells to the female and consists of the testes, penis, and accessory structures. Right?
I thought I was.
Oh, you're back to.
Briefly. To the mitochondria.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
For real.
So-
For real.
We gotta know this.
Yeah, it worked.
There's a nucleus.
It's in the book, so.
Man.
A reason it's bringing back Vietnam.
I have to fill 3 hours.
Bring back, it's bringing back files and flashbacks.
I don't want anybody saying they're not getting their money's worth.
I'm working
All
on
right.
it.
We got way more than one.
There are just a few things just we'll talk about, and it is important if you're wanting to really understand like at that level, and it really will help in the long run, especially when we talk about microbiology, because you'll want to know the differences between our cells and bacterial cells.
And plant cells.
No, not plants. We're not going to take that.
Yeah, thank God.
Not each other.
Like cell walls and stuff. No, we're not gonna worry about the plant cell.
But
Now, all living things on Earth consist of cells, from single cell to bacteria to multi-celled organisms like humans. Understanding anatomy and physiology is in a way understanding what conditions maintain cellular life. And guess what? Embalming does preserve at a cellular level by cross-linking proteins. So it is important.
Know that.
All right. So the internal environment is the environment in the body where the cells live. Each cell is bounded by a cell membrane, which is important when we're talking about embalming because we are manipulating osmotic principles to move chemicals into the individual cells to preserve them. All right. So
This is above my pay grade.
it's okay. Education is important.
It
It
And
is.
it is important, especially because why you're gonna get paid more. You know, you're more valuable than bootleg.
More rounded profession.
Yeah, this is what makes us professionals. This is what raises our salaries. Right? We want to be knowledgeable. We want to be up to date. Mississippi doesn't require continuing education. They fight tooth and nail not to learn more. But it is, you know, I would advise you to always stay up to date. um, Mortuary practices, but they learn a lot. Did you know? Yes.
Finish your statement.
Wait, what?
Finish your statement.
Okay. I was just gonna say, back in the day, not that long ago, I think it was the 80s, they called that embalming with milk. It removed jaundice, and that's why you'll still see it in some like Facebook groups, so like milk works, and
Hold on. Why- This is, and if one of y'all say that y'all have tried this before, y'all just walk out. Why would you put something, if you're trying to preserve a body, why would you put something back in it that rots?
because
That's dumb.
a chemical company put it in a magazine
Well, look at that.
back in the day. And actually, I took a screenshot of it. I will send it to y'all. 'Cause somebody finally found it, and I was like, "Oh, that was a real thing." I did not know that was a real thing.
I mean, ruin your machine.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, please. Hi. Yes, I'm so excited. I got it. Oh.
thank you.
Come back. Yeah, so
is.
that's why we want to stay up to date.
Okay, one second, Dave. What can you do to consistently maintain the date status, so to speak? Like,
Joining groups like MFDA, Mississippi Funeral Directors Association, NFPA, other states, if you go to their funeral board websites, will have continuing ed courses, and they're like $50. Like, you do have to like pay a little bit. The MFDA memberships, those are kind of expensive, but a lot of your funeral homes will buy a membership for one of the funeral directors or all of them, or just, I think there's a funeral home membership individually. I don't remember. I have one, but it's the school board. Someone may pay for it free. And then just like funeral magazines, there's different subscription things.
big conventions in a lot. Correct?
They did it in New Orleans, so next year will be.
New one.
Oh, no, I wanted to go. They do it in the summer.
gotta go.
It's like.
When did we go to New Orleans?
Spring. In the
Are
spring.
we going? I know.
You know, yes,
What?
you know,
No. Spring.
New Orleans.
No.
We take a class.
When?
In spring, generally around St. Patrick's Day. We get to go to the St. Patty's.
Oh, wow, these folks gonna be turning up. We don't have to pay for it.
And don't think- no, you don't.
Something's gotta
All
work.
right, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. No, I'm kidding. How am I doing on time?
We're gonna-
You're right on time.
It's not.
Yeah, let me, all this. What is the truth? It's not. You're not.
You don't like hanging out?
We'll see what happens, but.
Oh, I-
No, you
that's
better
what-
know. Earlier than
Yes.
14 years.
So in the